She bought lunch for a stranger with her last dollar, unaware he was the new CEO she's interviewing. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into the story. Emma stood frozen at the door, her heart pounding in her chest as she tried to make sense of the situation. The man from the cafe, Liam Parker, the man she had shared a quiet meal with just the day before, was now sitting at the head of the conference table. He was the CEO of the company she was about to interview for. The room felt smaller, the air thicker as she tried to find her words. She had seen him, yes, but how could he be here? She had no idea he was someone so important. This was a twist she never could have predicted. "Hello, Emma," Liam said smoothly, his voice calm. But there was something about his gaze that made her feel like he knew exactly what she was thinking. "I'm Liam Parker. I believe we have an interview today." Emma's mind raced. The words didn't quite make sense, and she blinked twice, hoping to clear the fog. This was real, wasn't it? She looked at him, then quickly scanned the room, trying to gather herself. I don't understand," she stammered. "I didn't realize. You were the CEO?" "Yes," he finished for her, his tone neutral, not revealing much. "I was hoping you would be a bit more surprised. But I suppose we got off on an interesting start." Emma's face flushed crimson. This was all too much. A rush of embarrassment and disbelief flooded her, and she looked down at her shoes, willing the floor to swallow her whole. I'm sorry," she said, her voice shaky. "I didn't know." "You didn't need to," he said, his voice soft but firm. "But you did something that stood out to me. Not many people would have offered their last dollar for someone else, even a stranger." He paused, watching her closely. "That was something that got my attention, Emma, and that's why you're here." Emma felt the weight of his words sink in. The kind act from yesterday, buying him lunch with the last of her money, had led her here. But it wasn't just that. There was something in his eyes, something genuine, that made her wonder if he meant what he was saying. "I didn't expect this," she admitted, still trying to process. "I mean, I thought you were just someone I met by chance. But you're not just anyone." "No," he agreed, his expression unreadable. Yet there was a hint of warmth in his smile. "I'm not just anyone, but yesterday, you treated me like one. You didn't see me as a CEO. You didn't even know who I was. You were kind. That kind of sincerity isn't easy to find." Emma's thoughts swirled, the reality of the situation slowly sinking in. She had no idea how to react. She had been preparing for this interview for weeks, desperate for a chance to prove herself. And now she was face to face with the very person who could change everything for her. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, feeling vulnerable. "You've already said a lot." "I'm not here to make you feel uncomfortable, Emma," Liam said, his tone still calm. "I'm here to get to know you, but I want to know more than just your qualifications. I want to know what kind of person you are. That's why I asked you here." His words left her speechless. She had expected to be judged on her resume, her experience, maybe even her appearance. But here, in this room, with this man, it felt like something entirely different was at play. "I don't know if I'm the right fit," she confessed, her voice faltering. "I'm just a waitress. I've never been in a place like this." "That's exactly why I'm here," he replied. "You're not just a waitress, Emma. You're someone who believes in kindness, even when life has been hard on you. That's rare, and that's what I need in someone." She didn't know how to respond to that. The idea that someone would look past her job title, past her circumstances, and see her for who she was felt strange, but strangely comforting too. She had spent so many years trying to hide the truth of her life, keeping her struggles close, but Liam had somehow seen through that, just by one simple act of kindness. The interview continued, but Emma's mind kept drifting back to the moment when she had offered him her last dollar. It had seemed like such a small thing at the time, something she did without thinking, just to help someone who looked like they needed it. But now, in the silence of the room, She realized it had been the catalyst for everything that was happening. After the formalities, Liam leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving hers. "I think you're a perfect fit for the position," he said, a slight smile tugging at his lips. "But more than that, I think you're someone who could help this company grow in ways I didn't expect." Emma's breath caught in her throat. "Wait, you're saying I got the job?" He nodded. "I'm saying I want to offer you more than just a job. I want to offer you a chance to prove what kindness can do, not just in the workplace, but in the world." Emma's heart raced as the realization hit her. She had just gotten more than she could ever have imagined, the opportunity of a lifetime. But more than that, she had just been given the chance to show the world what a little kindness could really do. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. It felt like a dream, something too good to be true. The last few years of her life had been nothing but struggle and uncertainty. But here she was, sitting across from Liam Parker, the CEO she had unknowingly helped the day before, being offered a chance that most people only dreamed of. "I don't know what to say," she murmured, still in shock. "You don't have to say anything just yet," Liam replied, his voice calm, reassuring. "Take your time. This is a big decision, but I think you're more than capable of making it." Emma sat there, stunned, her mind racing. She had come to this interview expecting nothing more than another rejection, another door slammed in her face. She had prepared herself for disappointment, but now everything had changed. She had helped a stranger in need, and somehow that had led her to this moment, a moment where she could finally see a way out of the endless cycle of hardship she had been in. It didn't make sense, but it felt right. She had always believed in doing good, in being kind to others, no matter the circumstances. And now, for the first time in a long time, it seemed like her kindness was being rewarded in the most unexpected way. "I can't believe this is happening," Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Believe it," Liam said, offering her a reassuring smile. "Kindness like yours doesn't go unnoticed. It might not always be recognized right away, but it does come back around. And you, Emma, you've earned this." Emma's thoughts swirled, trying to wrap her mind around everything. She thought back to the cafe, to the moment when she had offered him the last of her money. She hadn't thought twice about it. It had just felt like the right thing to do. But now, that simple act of kindness had led her to a life-changing opportunity. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. "What exactly are you offering me?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Liam leaned forward, his expression serious but kind. "I'm offering you a position here at the company," he said. "But more than that, I'm offering you a chance to work directly with me on a new project. It's something I'm passionate about, and I believe you could make a real difference in the way we do business." Emma's eyes widened in surprise. She had never imagined that she would be given such an opportunity, especially not by someone like Liam. "What kind of project?" she asked, genuinely curious now. "We're working on a new initiative that focuses on giving back to the community, something that aligns with our company's values," Liam explained. "I think your background, your heart for helping others, would make you the perfect fit for this role." Emma blinked, trying to absorb the enormity of what he was saying. A role with the CEO of the company? Working on a project that could change lives? It seemed impossible. But as she looked at Liam, she saw the sincerity in his eyes. He wasn't just offering her a job, he was offering her a chance to prove that kindness could have a ripple effect, one that could change not just her life, but the lives of many others as well. She took another deep breath, feeling her nerves slowly settle. This was real. This was happening. "I'm not sure I'm ready for all this," Emma admitted, her voice soft. "I've never worked on anything like this before. I don't have the experience." "That's okay," Liam said gently, shaking his head. "I don't expect you to have all the answers right away. This is a learning experience for both of us. What I want is someone who cares, someone who understands the value of giving back, someone who's willing to work hard and make a real impact. That's what I see in you." Emma felt a rush of emotions flood her chest. She had always wanted to make a difference, to help others the way she had helped Liam. But she never thought she'd have the chance to do so on such a big scale. The idea of working with someone like Liam, someone who saw value in her kindness, was overwhelming. She had spent so many years doubting herself, wondering if she was good enough. But now, in this moment, It felt like everything was falling into place. "I won't let you down," she said, her voice firm with determination. Liam smiled, clearly pleased with her response. "I know you won't," he said. "I believe in you, Emma. This is just the beginning." And with that, everything shifted. Emma had spent so long wondering if there was more to life than just surviving. But now, she knew. There was more. There was hope. There was a chance to live a life filled with purpose and meaning. And it all started with one simple act of kindness. One moment that had led her to this moment, where she could finally believe in herself and the power of doing good. She was ready. Ready to take on this challenge. Ready to prove that kindness could change the world, starting with her own. The future was bright, and Emma was ready to face it head-on. Emma's heart raced as she walked out of the meeting room, the weight of Liam's offer still heavy on her shoulders. She had never imagined a day like this, never thought that kindness, the simple act of offering her last dollar, could lead to such an incredible opportunity. She stood in the hallway for a moment, her mind spinning. Everything felt surreal, and yet, deep down, she knew this was the beginning of something big. She had spent so long struggling, trying to make ends meet, that she had forgotten what it felt like to have hope, to believe that things could get better. But now, it felt like a door had opened, and all she had to do was walk through it. Her hands trembled slightly as she held her purse. But she quickly steadied herself. There was no time for doubt now. She had a new role to fill, and it was up to her to prove that she deserved it. As she walked back to her small apartment, the familiar weight of responsibility settled in. She had been offered a position with the CEO of the company, working on a project that could change lives. It was everything she had ever dreamed of, yet the thought of stepping into this new world filled her with both excitement and fear. What if she wasn't good enough? What if she failed? The voice in her head told her to be careful, not to get her hopes up too high. But another part of her knew this was her chance to change everything. She had nothing to lose. When she arrived at her apartment, she barely noticed the noise outside. She walked in and immediately dropped her bag on the small kitchen table, her mind still racing with thoughts of the meeting. It was hard to believe that just hours ago, she had been a waitress, struggling to make ends meet. And now, she was stepping into a role that could change her life forever. She couldn't help but smile at the thought. It felt like a dream. She quickly made herself a cup of coffee and sat down at the kitchen table, letting the warmth of the drink calm her nerves. As she sipped, she thought about everything Liam had said during the interview. He hadn't been just offering her a job, he had been offering her a chance to prove herself, to show the world that kindness, even in the most difficult circumstances, could lead to something greater. That was the part that stuck with her the most. The idea that she could be more than just her circumstances, more than just a waitress struggling to get by. She could make a difference. But that wasn't going to be easy. Emma knew that the road ahead would be tough. There would be challenges, moments when she would feel out of her depth. She was going to have to work harder than ever before, and prove that she was capable of doing something bigger than she ever imagined. But something in her had shifted. She no longer felt like she was simply surviving. She was ready to thrive. The next day, Emma showed up at the office early, eager to begin her new role. She walked into the building with a sense of purpose, her head held high. She was no longer the shy, nervous girl who had been barely scraping by. Today, she was someone with a chance to prove her worth, to show that she had more to offer than just a friendly smile and a helping hand. The receptionist greeted her warmly as she walked into the lobby, and Emma could see the difference in how people treated her now. No longer a faceless waitress, she was now part of something bigger, something important. As she waited for her first meeting with Liam, she couldn't help but think about how far she had come in such a short amount of time. It wasn't just the job that had changed, it was her entire outlook on life. She had been given the opportunity to make a real difference, and she wasn't going to waste it. The door to the conference room opened, and Liam stepped in, a smile on his face when he saw her. "Good morning, Emma," he said warmly, gesturing for her to take a seat. "I'm glad you're here." Emma smiled back, feeling a sense of pride that she hadn't felt in years. "I'm glad to be here," she replied, sitting down across from him. The conversation turned to the new project she would be working on, and Emma listened intently, her mind already racing with ideas. She could see the potential in what they were trying to build. This was more than just a job. It was a chance to create something that would impact people's lives. As the meeting went on, Emma found herself more and more excited about the work ahead. There was a lot to learn, but she was ready. Ready to take on this challenge, to prove herself not just to Liam, but to herself. By the end of the meeting, she felt a new sense of determination settle in her chest. She was no longer just a waitress. She was a part of something much bigger, something that could make a real difference. And with that thought, Emma knew there was nothing she couldn't do. She was ready to take on whatever came next, knowing that she had been given the opportunity of a lifetime. This was just the beginning. The following weeks flew by in a blur of excitement and hard work for Emma. Every morning, she walked into the office with a sense of purpose, ready to take on the challenges of her new role. Her first project, a community outreach initiative that Liam had entrusted to her, was taking shape faster than she had ever imagined. She was working closely with the team, brainstorming ideas, and even leading meetings. She couldn't believe how far she had come from that day at the cafe. She had gone from struggling to make ends meet to leading a project that could make a real difference. Liam was always there, offering support and guidance, but he gave her the space to make decisions, which made her feel like she truly belonged in the company. He had seen something in her from the beginning, and now she was starting to see it in herself, too. Emma had always thought she wasn't good enough, that her past would define her. But now, she realized it was her heart, her willingness to help others, that had gotten her this far. She had found a place where her kindness and work ethic were valued, and that made all the difference. One afternoon, while Emma was reviewing some proposals in her office, she heard a knock on the door. Liam stepped inside with a small smile on his face. "How's it going?" he asked, looking over the papers in front of her. "Great," Emma said, her eyes lighting up. "We're on track to launch the initiative in a couple of weeks, and the team is really coming together." Liam nodded, impressed. "You've done amazing work, Emma. I knew you were the right person for this project." Emma felt a wave of pride wash over her, but also a twinge of self-doubt. "I never imagined I'd be here, you know," she admitted. "I mean, I was just a waitress a few months ago, struggling to pay my bills." Liam smiled, his eyes warm. "You've come a long way, and you've earned every bit of success you're having. This project, this company, it's all here because of your hard work." Emma blinked back the tears that threatened to well up in her eyes. It was hard to believe how much had changed, how quickly everything had fallen into place. She had gone from feeling invisible to being recognized for her talents, and it felt like a dream she was afraid to wake up from. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice filled with gratitude, "for believing in me." "I always knew you had it in you," Liam replied, his voice steady but full of warmth. He paused, then added, "There's more, though. I want to take this project to the next level, and I need your help. I think you're the key to making it succeed." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" she asked, unsure of what he was suggesting. Liam leaned forward slightly, his expression serious. "I want you to lead a team to expand our outreach. We're not just looking at local communities anymore. We want to take this nationwide to make a bigger impact. You have the vision for it, Emma. You're ready for this." Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. She had never imagined something like this. She had come so far, but to be asked to take on something this big, this important, it was more than she had ever hoped for. I don't know if I'm ready for something like that," she said, the uncertainty creeping back into her voice. "Of course you are," Liam said, his tone reassuring. "You've already proven yourself. You've built this project from the ground up, and now you have the chance to make it something truly transformative." Emma took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions inside her. She had worked so hard to get here, and now, this was the moment she had to decide whether to take a leap of faith. She looked at Liam, and something in his eyes told her he truly believed in her. She knew, in that moment, that it was time to stop doubting herself. She was ready. "Okay," she said, her voice steady, a spark of determination in her eyes. "I'll do it." "I'm ready." Liam smiled, clearly pleased with her response. "I knew you would be. You've got this, Emma." As she watched him leave her office, Emma felt a sense of pride and excitement building inside her. This was her moment, the moment she had been waiting for. She had gone from being a struggling waitress to being the person who would help lead a nationwide initiative that could change lives. It was overwhelming, but it was also exactly where she was meant to be. For the first time in her life, Emma felt truly seen, not just for her job title, but for who she was, for the heart that had always driven her to help others. She was no longer defined by her past. She was building a future that was all her own, and she wasn't going to stop now. The road ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to face it, because she had learned that sometimes, all it takes is one act of kindness to change everything. The weeks that followed were nothing short of a whirlwind for Emma. The project she had been entrusted with was growing rapidly, and she found herself spending long hours at the office, building the nationwide outreach program that Liam had envisioned. She was leading a team now, managing logistics, brainstorming strategies, and interacting with stakeholders who were just as passionate about the mission as she was. Every day, she felt more and more at home in this new role, and the sense of purpose she had longed for in her life was finally here. But despite all the progress, there were still moments when Emma couldn't shake the feeling of being an imposter. She was surrounded by people with years of experience, executives who had been in the industry for much longer than she had. At times, she doubted whether she was truly cut out for the job. Was she really making a difference, or was she just lucky? Liam noticed her moments of doubt, and one day, he pulled her aside after a meeting. "Emma," he said, his voice calm but firm, "I've been watching you closely these past few weeks. You've stepped into this role with confidence, and you've built something incredible here. But I can see it in your eyes, you're still second-guessing yourself." Emma looked down, a mix of embarrassment and relief flooding her. She had been trying so hard to prove herself, to show that she belonged. But it wasn't always easy. Sometimes I feel like I don't belong here," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm surrounded by people who are so much more experienced than I am, and I know I've done a good job so far, but I keep wondering if it's enough." Liam's expression softened, and he placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're doing more than enough, Emma," he said, his voice steady. "You're not here because of luck. You're here because you've earned it. I've seen you work harder than anyone else, and I know you have the skills to take this project to the next level." Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she listened to his words. For so long, she had been afraid that she would never be enough, that her past would hold her back. But here, in this moment, she realized that she wasn't defined by her past. She was defined by her actions, her choices, and her commitment to the people around her. "Thank you, Liam," she said quietly, her eyes meeting his. "I needed to hear that." "You don't need to thank me," Liam replied with a smile. "I'm just telling you the truth. You're exactly where you need to be, and I'm proud of everything you've done so far." With that, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. The self-doubt that had once clouded her thoughts began to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence. She had worked hard to get here. And now, she was ready to keep pushing forward. Over the next few weeks, Emma continued to pour her heart into the project. She led her team with passion and determination, and the initiative grew stronger with each passing day. They reached new communities, helping thousands of people across the country, and Emma knew that they were making a real difference. But as her confidence grew, so did her sense of responsibility. She knew that the work wasn't over yet. There was still so much to be done. One afternoon, as she sat in her office reviewing some reports, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Liam. "I need to speak with you about something important. Can you meet me in my office in 10 minutes?" Emma felt a flutter of nerves in her stomach. She couldn't imagine what he wanted to discuss. Had something gone wrong with the project? She pushed the thought aside and quickly gathered her things, heading to his office. When she arrived, Liam was sitting behind his desk, his expression serious but not stern. "Emma, please have a seat," he said, motioning to the chair across from him. As she sat down, he looked at her with a mixture of pride and concern. "I've been thinking about you and the work you've done, and I want to offer you something." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. Liam leaned forward slightly. "I think you're ready for a promotion," he said, his voice steady. "I want you to take on a bigger role within the company, overseeing not just this project, but other initiatives as well. You've proven yourself, and I believe you're ready for this next step." Emma stared at him, unable to process what she was hearing. A promotion? To take on even more responsibility? It was everything she had ever wanted, but also a little overwhelming. Wow, she said, trying to find the right words. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything right now, Liam said, giving her a reassuring smile. Take some time to think it over. But I want you to know that you've earned this. You've worked hard, and I believe you're more than capable of handling it. Emma nodded, still in shock but feeling a deep sense of gratitude. She had come so far from the girl who had no idea how she was going to pay her bills, and now, she was being offered an opportunity that most people could only dream of. As she left Liam's office, Emma felt like a different person. The self-doubt that had once haunted her was gone, replaced by a sense of pride and accomplishment. She knew she had made it not just because of the promotion, but because she had finally believed in herself. And with that belief, she knew there was nothing she couldn't achieve. Emma walked into the office the next day with a new sense of purpose. The promotion that Liam had offered her was still fresh in her mind, and she could hardly believe it. She had worked so hard to get here, and now it felt like everything was falling into place. She had been given the opportunity to oversee not just one project, but multiple initiatives. And the weight of that responsibility both excited and terrified her. But she was determined to prove she was ready. The first few days after receiving the promotion were filled with meetings and planning sessions. Emma worked closely with her team, outlining the next steps for their outreach programs and making sure everything was on track. She felt like she was finally starting to build something that could have a real, lasting impact, and it was an incredible feeling. Still, there were moments when she found herself questioning her abilities. The imposter syndrome that had once haunted her started to creep back in. She was now in charge of more projects, working with higher-level executives, and sometimes the pressure felt overwhelming. One late afternoon, as she sat in her office going over some final details for an upcoming presentation, Liam walked in. He had always been a steady presence in her life, and now he seemed to be more of a mentor than ever before. "How's everything going?" he asked, his voice calm but curious. "Good," Emma replied, trying to hide the doubt that was creeping into her voice. "It's just a lot. I'm handling more responsibilities now, and sometimes I wonder if I'm really cut out for all of this." Liam nodded, walking over to her desk and leaning against it. "I know the feeling," he said, offering a small smile. "When I first started running this company, I felt like I was in way over my head. It's natural to feel that way when you're stepping into a new role, especially one with so much responsibility. But you've already shown that you're more than capable." Emma looked up at him, her heart pounding. "But what if I mess up? What if I can't handle it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I fail?" Liam's smile grew a little wider as he sat down in the chair across from her. "Emma," he said gently, "you're not alone in this. You have a whole team behind you. And more importantly, you've already proven that you can handle challenges. I've seen how hard you work, and I believe in you." Emma took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind of thoughts in her mind. She had always been her own worst critic, and now, with so much on her plate, it felt harder than ever to silence that voice of doubt. "Thank you," she said, her voice quiet. "I needed to hear that." Liam nodded. "You don't need to thank me. I'm just telling you what I've seen. You've come so far, Emma. You've earned this position, and you're going to do amazing things. Just remember that mistakes are part of the process. Don't be afraid to fail, because it's the only way you'll grow." Emma's eyes softened as she listened to his words. She had been so focused on the idea of perfection that she had forgotten that growth often came from the challenges and setbacks along the way. It wasn't about being flawless. It was about learning, adapting, and moving forward. She felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she let out a breath she didn't even realize she had been holding. "You're right," she said, smiling for the first time that day. "I've got this." Liam's smile widened, and he stood up, offering her a hand. "I know you do, and I'm here if you need anything." As he left her office, Emma sat back in her chair, feeling a renewed sense of confidence. She had spent so much of her life questioning her worth, wondering if she was good enough for the opportunities that came her way. But now, for the first time, she truly believed that she was capable of achieving everything she had set out to do. The pressure still weighed on her, but it no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a challenge, one that she was ready to face. The next few months were filled with progress, setbacks, and growth. Emma continued to lead her team, and with each passing day, she grew more comfortable in her role. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but she also knew she was stronger than she had ever believed. She had proven to herself that she could handle whatever came her way, and she was ready to keep moving forward, one step at a time. By the end of the year, the outreach programs were more successful than Emma had ever imagined. They had touched the lives of thousands of people, and Emma knew that this was only the beginning. The journey she had started, from waitress to leader, was far from over. And as she stood in front of her team at the end-of-year meeting, sharing their successes, she realized that everything she had worked for had led to this moment. She had found her purpose, and with that, she had found herself. Months had passed since Emma's promotion, and she was now in a place she never thought possible, leading multiple projects, working alongside people she once considered far beyond her reach. She had settled into her new role with confidence and strength, becoming a true leader within the company. But the road wasn't always smooth, and there were still moments when doubt crept in, when the weight of the responsibility threatened to overwhelm her. The pressure to perform was real, and Emma found herself wondering if she could keep up the pace. There were late nights, endless emails, and meetings that stretched on for hours. Sometimes, she missed the simplicity of her old life, when things were straightforward and predictable. But then, on those hardest days, she would think back to the moment when Liam first believed in her, when he saw something in her that she had never seen in herself. That belief, that trust, became her anchor. She could do this. One afternoon, Emma was sitting in her office, going over the latest reports when she received a message from Liam. "I need you in my office in 10 minutes. It's important." Her heart skipped a beat. What could it be? She quickly gathered the papers in front of her and headed to his office, nerves suddenly on edge. When she arrived, Liam was standing by the window, looking out over the city skyline. He turned when he heard the door open, and a soft smile spread across his face. "Come in, Emma," he said. "I wanted to talk to you about something." Emma sat down across from him, her mind racing. What was going on? Liam seemed calm, but there was a look in his eyes that made her feel like something big was about to happen. "I've been watching you," he began, his voice steady. "You've done incredible work with this company. You've grown so much, and I've seen you take on challenges with a strength I didn't expect." Emma felt her chest tighten. "Thank you," she said softly. "I've worked really hard, but I couldn't have done it without the support of the team." Liam nodded. "That's true. But I also know that it's not just about the team. You have something special, Emma. You've become a leader, and that's not easy. You've made tough decisions, and you've kept moving forward no matter what." Emma swallowed, unsure of where this conversation was heading. "I just want to keep doing my best," she said. "But I know there are still challenges. Sometimes I feel like I'm not ready for everything, that I'm in over my head." Liam looked at her, his gaze softening. "I've been where you are, feeling like you're not enough, like you're about to crumble under the weight of it all. But you're not alone. You've proven yourself time and time again, and you're more than capable." Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders as he spoke. She had always been afraid of failing, of not living up to expectations. But hearing Liam's words, knowing that he truly believed in her, gave her the strength she needed to push forward. "Thank you, Liam," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that," Liam smiled. "You're doing great. But there's more. I've been thinking about the future of the company, and I think you're the perfect person to help lead us into the next phase of growth." Emma blinked in surprise. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I'm offering you the chance to take on an even bigger role," Liam explained. "I want you to become the head of operations. You've shown that you can handle leadership, and I think it's time for you to take that next step." Emma's heart raced as the words sank in. Head of operations? She had always dreamed of something like this, but to actually be offered such a position, to be entrusted with such responsibility, it was overwhelming. I don't know what to say," she stammered. "You don't have to decide right away," Liam said, his tone gentle. "Take your time to think about it. But I want you to know that I believe in you. You've earned this." Emma felt a wave of emotions crash over her. The thought of stepping into such a significant role, of leading the entire company's operations, was both exciting and terrifying. She had worked so hard to get here, but this was the moment she had always hoped for. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I won't let you down." Liam stood up and extended his hand. "I know you won't. You've already proven what you're capable of." Emma shook his hand, the weight of his words settling deep within her. She had always doubted herself, but now, with this new opportunity, she realized that the only limits she had were the ones she set for herself. She was ready for the challenge, ready to lead the company into the future. As she walked out of Liam's office, Emma felt a deep sense of pride. She had come so far, from a waitress with no direction to a leader who had earned her place at the table. This was just the beginning, and she was ready to face whatever came next, with the same determination that had brought her this far. Emma stood in front of the large conference room, the weight of the decision still pressing on her. She had spent the past few days thinking about Liam's offer to become the head of operations, and although she was excited, she couldn't shake the nerves that bubbled up inside her. She had come so far, but this was different. This was the next big step, and she had to prove that she was ready. As the team gathered around the table for the quarterly meeting, Emma felt a sense of pride. This was the team she had worked with, the people who had helped her build everything from the ground up. She had led them through challenges, brainstormed ideas, and built a bond that was more than just professional. It was personal. She had watched them grow, and they had watched her transform into someone who could lead with confidence. The meeting started, and as Liam addressed the team, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude. This journey, from waitress to leader, had been a roller coaster of emotions, and now she was about to take on a role that would shape the future of the company. As the discussion continued, Emma felt the familiar stirrings of doubt. What if she wasn't ready? What if she failed? But then she remembered Liam's words. Asterisk. You've already proven what you're capable of. Asterisk. That belief in her was all she needed. When it was her turn to speak, Emma stood up, feeling the eyes of the team on her. She took a deep breath and looked around the room. "I'm honored to be here with all of you," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've come a long way, and we've built something incredible. But as we move forward, I'm excited to take on a new role and lead us into the next phase of growth." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "I've been given the opportunity to take on a bigger role within the company, and while it's a big responsibility, I believe in all of you. Together, we've done great things, and I know we can continue to make an impact." Emma's voice softened as she looked at each member of the team. "Thank you for your support, for believing in me, and for being part of this journey. We're just getting started, and I can't wait to see what we accomplish next." The room was silent for a moment, and then the team erupted into applause. Emma's heart swelled with pride as she realized that she had not only earned the respect of her colleagues, but she had also found a new sense of purpose. This was more than just a job, it was her calling. As the meeting ended and everyone filed out of the room, Emma stayed behind for a moment, taking in the significance of the moment. She had come so far, from the girl who once struggled to make ends meet to the woman who was now leading a team that was changing lives. It wasn't just about the promotion or the title, it was about the journey, the growth, and the impact she could make. She had always dreamed of something bigger, and now she was living it. As she left the office that evening, the city lights twinkling outside the window, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. She was ready for whatever came next. She had faced her fears, pushed through the doubts, and come out stronger on the other side. And with that, she knew there was no limit to what she could accomplish. Her story wasn't just about success, it was about resilience, about never giving up on herself, even when the odds seemed stacked against her. She had learned that with hard work, belief in herself, and a little bit of kindness, anything was possible. As Emma stepped out into the night, she knew that her journey was just beginning. The best was yet to come.